So we're going to do 15A-4, page 597 at the bottom, and we will have to go over to 598 a little bit. So I'm just going to read through what it tells us. So it says Ashley Company, using the periodic inventory system, began the year with 250 units of product B in inventory with a unit cost of $35. The following additional purchases of the product were made. So in April, 300 units, in July, 400 units, in August, 500, and in November, 150. And you can see the unit prices that they were purchased at. So if you flip to 598, it says at the end of the year, Ashley Company had 500 units of its product unsold. Your task is to calculate the cost of ending inventory, as well as the cost of goods sold, by the FIFO, LIFO, weighted average methods. It does say to round the weighted average to the nearest cent, so it probably is going to be a longer decimals, I guess what we're assuming here. Okay. So, remember when we are trying to figure out these different, the FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average, we're going to start by rewriting what's in your textbook. So just start there. Maybe just label at the top that you're using product B. And you do have this lined sheet, but just kind of think of this as a worksheet to be writing out all of your math. So it doesn't need to be super formal or proper or anything like that. It's just a worksheet to be writing everything down. But when you do one of these on your own, please make sure it's very clear to me your exact answers for each individual method. Okay? So product B, it does say that we began the year, so that's to me January 1. We're going to just label that our beginning inventory. Um, 250 units at $35 a piece. And then, sorry I didn't say this earlier, you can grab your phone to use a calculator. Good job walking up to the pocket to get your phone. And then we're just going to go ahead and go through all of the purchases. The additional purchases of the product were made. April 5th. Just write purchase, that's fine. 300 units. So when you're done there, you do want to total up your total inventory and your total cost over here. So the first thing that we're going to do, it tells us we're doing FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average. Let's just start with the first one they list. So let's do our FIFO. Remember, first in, first out method. And also, sorry, it tells us on page 598 that there are 500 units of ending inventory. So I'm just going to write that down here. That's where I have room. Again, so for first in, first out, we're saying that the first things we bought in January, what we started with, are the first things off the shelf. Again, the most recent, or the oldest thing bought, the first thing that was bought is the first thing off the shelf, right? So we want to start with our newest purchase and use that cost. If we have a total of 500 pieces to account for, we're going to have to use 2 invoices here. So first we're going to take all of the 150 pieces from this newest last invoice from November, and we're going to take 150 units at 70 a piece, which is 10,500. We still have to account for another 350 pieces still left in our leftover inventory. And we're going to take that then from the next newest or last invoice, so from August 15th. So we'll count 350 of them at $60. Should give you 21,000. Okay, so let's add that up. Okay, so this number here, 31,500, is, what do we call this? Anybody remember? Our ending inventory. Good. Just write that label here. And then we need to calculate our cost of goods sold. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to say our cost of goods available is 81,250. We already did that. Our, bless you, ending inventory was 31,500. And we'll subtract those two to find our cost of goods sold. So those are the two answers for letter A, for the first in, first out method. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is the last in, first out method. So I'm giving myself a little space. Last in, first out. Okay, so if we are assuming that the last thing we bought is the first thing off the shelf, then we are going to take our very beginning inventory costs to calculate our ending inventory costs, right? So the last thing we bought is the first thing to go. Okay, so we would be getting rid of all of these, and we are going to start counting our inventory with the oldest purchase price. So our oldest purchase was January, so we have 250 units we can take from the January price, which was $35 a piece, which brings us to $87.50. We have another 250 that we need to account for, and then we'll use the April 5th price of $40. We add these up. And that gives us our ending inventory. The next part is to calculate our cost of goods sold. So we take cost of goods available, which is $81,250, minus our ending inventory, whoops, I'm just writing the wrong number here. $18,000. So if you feel like you have this pattern down, I don't need you to write cost of goods available, ending inventory. You can just write your numbers and do it. Or if you're really comfortable, you can just do the calculations on a calculator. If I see that you start making mistakes, then I will require you to write these out so that you know what numbers you should be using, okay? So in the future when you do this, I still want you to write ending inventory is this. Cost of goods sold is this. But I don't need you to write these labels when you're doing the subtraction, okay? All right. Okay, the weighted average method. We're going to take our total cost of goods available for sale divided by your total units. So you should look back at the top of your paper where you added up your totals. And so that would be $81,250 divided by a total of 1,600 units. We're going to find the average price of a unit. And again, this is the price, so make sure you round to that to cents. We're saying the average price is $50.78. You should always go back, look at all the prices that you bought them for, 35, 40, 50, 60, 70, and make sure that your average actually makes logical sense. Around that $50 range does make sense. Okay, so then you just take that, multiply it by the number of units you have left over. So we'll have $50.78 per unit by 500 units.
It says round the weighted average to the nearest cent, so don't we round up to 80 cents?
No, it was just saying if you did that on a calculator, it gave you like 3 or 4 more decimals.
Oh.
So it was just saying to this cent. $50.78 times 500. $95,390 is your ending inventory. And then same process, we'll take the goods available for sale, which is 81,250. Subtract your ending inventory, which in this case is 25,000. Okay. And any questions on that? Good? Okay. So that's all I have for you today.